Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to JGL Gaming and episode 2 of our little Polybridge mini-series. I decided to upload another episode. This is a double feature. There will be 2 bridges. This is the first one. I'm constructing here a relatively simple suspension bridge. Simple design as seen in, for example, the Golden Gate in San Francisco. It's Friday afternoon. I just had my self-brewed beer for the first time. It was actually not for the first time actually, but for the first time with someone there. I had one of the bottles already by myself, and it turned out pretty well. I think it does taste like IPA, which is what I tried to make in the uphill hill. This bridge is a suspension bridge, but as you saw, maybe if you paid attention on the top there, it was well above budget. So here I'm trying to have the same basic design because I kind of like it. I like suspension bridges. I try to have the same basic design, but it turns out to be still too expensive. So I'm going with the design that I used in my previous episode, which has the tangent part on the bottom of the bridge, so below the road surface, which is a bit more efficient for this specific application. So now I'm trying to make these triangles as small as possible in order to save some money, and I'm already well under budget. As you can see, I'm at 11,400 while the budget is 21,000. I'm really trying my best to minimize it as much as possible, make the curve as smooth as possible, and as you can see, I'm in the top 10% of players, so that turned out pretty well. Then this is the second bridge, which is going to take a lot longer. It's a much larger bridge, and I'm kind of fond of this one. You will see why. It's pretty efficient. It's not as efficient, so it's very difficult to get really in the top 1 or 2% of this game, because many of these top players, they kind of cheese it. They use exploits in the game, and I don't really like that. I like to build an actual bridge, you know. That's the name of the game, if you ask me. But I think this bridge I end up quite high. So here you can see, okay, I strengthened both both sections of the bridge to be able to stand on their own. And now I'm going to use a hydraulic piece. So that is a piece that moves by hydraulics. So that way you can see that little circle there that's green and yellow. You could see it here actually. Top 7%. So this is a great, very efficient bridge. I'm very happy with this one. You can see that you can select the part where the bridge can break, which I have. Okay, I guess it still broke. Yeah, I was trying to cheapen it up a bit, but yeah, really, if you even look at this design, I think it cannot be done much more efficiently. And the taxi is a bit heavier, I think, than the car. So the car is fine, but the taxi not. But I'm pretty happy with this one. The submarine barely fits through it. So this is that was the second bridge. I guess it's a triple feature. It's not a double feature. This is the bridge that took me the longest to complete. As you can see, it's quite a long stretch. You do have a little piece in the middle there for some bracing. This one takes me quite a while. So I was talking about that beer. I brewed it a couple of weeks ago. You have to have it in sort of the brewing vat for 2 weeks. Then I put it 1 week, and then I think 2 weeks, and then I put it, I think, 1 more week in the fridge. So the first 2 weeks is at room temperature. It should be around 20 degrees, 22 degrees, because that is the temperature at which the yeast thrives, because it's an animal yeast. It's an organism, so it needs a sort of a warmish temperatures. And then I put it in the fridge for a while. And that way it hopefully gets a little bit clearer, because it gets colder. Some of the flaky sort of floating flaky parts they coagulate together and drop down. So then the beer gets a bit clearer and it looks a bit nicer. So that I did for a week. and then it had to go into bottles for another, I think, 2 weeks. I might be a bit off here with the timeline, but that is roughly the idea. You put some extra sugar in there, in the bottles itself, and the yeast does its job in the bottles, and that way you get CO2 in the beer, which means it gets, what's that called in English? The bubbles get in there. What's it? Carbonated, yeah. So that way it gets carbonated a bit, and there's a little bit more alcohol also in there. Well, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I might do it again. I just spent 5 minutes talking about beer rather than bridges, but you know, you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm trying to use a sort of double arch. I explained to you guys about how an arch works. It distributes the weight evenly, hopefully, if you construct it properly. But as you can see, this arch is a little bit messy. It's not as smooth as I would like it to be. So I'm now doing my best to reinforce it at the points where the stress is highest. So that's, you can see that red rectangle there that shows the part where the bridge is breaking. So that's the part that gets a lot of stress. So I'm trying to sort of reinforce the parts that should distribute the weight away from that bar. So that, yeah, but trying constructing additional arcs in order to do that. And I'm bracing the bridge on that side a little bit. I'm replacing some of the wood with steel in order to make it stronger. And I think I'm almost there here. Yeah. As you see now, still a lot of strength is. You can still see a lot of parts of the bridge are red, which means they experience very high stress. So I need to make sure that the force that is moving into those beams in particular is distributed evenly over the rest. And I think I already see in the middle there that one of the arches has no clear endpoint. It's not going all the way down. I think that might be the issue, but still, I managed it. There we go. Okay, there's a small piece still broke. So I have to reinforce it elsewhere a little bit. Maybe another cross. Yep, that did it. Top 41% though. That's not great. But this is a quite messy design, so I'm redoing it here a little bit. And replacing the 25 arches and crosses with simple steel beams. With crosses in between. Which hopefully will save us some money and get us a little bit higher in that leaderboard. Which is the goal of the game. Go. Yeah, so it's Friday 7-ish, 6-ish. I just had 1 or 2 beers, so I'm a little bit drowsy. It's the end of the week. It's quite busy at work at the moment, but that's fine. Ah, there we go. Okay, that saved us some money. We're still not very high up, so I'm going to try to tweak it a little bit. And you can do that by looking. When you do the simulation, you can look at what parts of the bridge are still very green, because those are probably too well reinforced, not as lean as they should be. So I'm now trying some different techniques in order to make sure that doesn't happen. And now I'm rebuilding the entire bridge. I think I just wanted to try something out. I just wanted to try the old triple arch technique, which I will show you guys. I'm using reinforced roads here just to see if the concept works, and I'm trying to sort of symmetrically make the design to make it as symmetrical as possible, because you always want to do that in arches, because they distribute the weight. If it's symmetrical, it will hopefully distribute the weight as evenly as possible. So here I go, constructing the second arch. So like this. You have to be a bit careful that it's not too steep, otherwise the lorry won't be able to drive up it. The lorry is British English, right? Americans say truck, I think. Right? So the truck is able to drive up the slope. In secondary school, we were taught to speak with as British an accent as possible. That was that's in schools in the Netherlands. That's considered the proper English. Is considered the British English, but then in real life, American English is much more prominent. I'm sorry if you're British, but yeah, you can hear it probably from me. I'm not a native speaker, but my accent is a lot more American than it is British. And that is just because you encounter in daily life, you encounter a lot more American English, watching watching TV, movies. There we go. So we got the red triple arch now done. Now it's a matter of reinforcing it. And I think I'm a little bit overconfident here. I'm not reinforcing it that much because it's all steel, which is very strong. So I'm hoping that the steel is by itself mostly sufficient, but it seems that that's not quite the case. So I'm reinforcing it a little bit with the wooden beams. And this bridge won't be cheap, but I just wanted to try out if it works. And I do think it looks a bit prettier than my previous attempt. So now I'm filling up this whole middle section with wooden beams, and I'm trying to do it relatively symmetrically, but it's quite tricky because the shape itself is not symmetrical. Yeah, I have a couple of more of these playthroughs recorded, but I'm not going to upload them all. They're not all that interesting. I also make more mistakes in some of them. The bridges are less beautiful in some of them, but this one I quite enjoyed. Okay, so you can see it breaks there, so I'm reinforcing down there a bit. It looks relatively green, so I think I'm pretty close to accomplishing it. Yeah, so the lorry is able to drive up there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, great. Even now, while I'm not constructing it myself, I'm still happy that it succeeds. It's a very satisfying game. This, if you're able to do it, especially over such a large gap as this. You're very it's very satisfying. I'm obviously not sponsored by these guys. Why would they want to sponsor me? But it's a fun game anyway. Pick it up. It's on Steam. It's not expensive, and the music itself is very calming. It's a very nice game to just play while watching something else. There we go. That's it. That's the one. Top 41%. I'm just loading to see what other players did. And many of them did the double arch technique as well. For example, that one, which quickly was shown there. So I'm going back to my old design and seeing if I can optimize it a little bit. Hopefully get a bit higher in the leaderboard. Yeah, like I mentioned, this weekend I will record some more CK2. I might upload, maybe one more episode of this, if people enjoy it. I haven't... So the first one hasn't uploaded yet at time of recording. I have noticed that my non-CK2 videos get a lot less views, which makes sense, I promoted the channel most on the CK2 subreddit. I tried to promote the Railway Tycoon series on the Tycoon channel, but I didn't. So I use old Reddit, so the old layout of the site, and it hides the rules, the subreddit rules. So I didn't read it properly, and it said no promotion of Let's Plays. So they banned me, which I'm sorry about that. I should have read the rules, but still I think at least 1 or 2 people check that series out, which is enough for me. I like recording those, although these Polybridge series they're a lot less effort for me. As you can see now, we're almost there. We're almost connecting it up. We just have to reinforce it a little bit here and there. We're at about $50,000, which is well under budget. There we go, 51,000. So I've also looked at the video and saw that there's quite a few beams over on the right side that are still very green, so they don't experience a high load. So I'm replacing some of those where possible, but I'm reaching the point where this design is as good as I'm gonna get it. I think I should reinforce it. Okay, that's the one. Okay, so I just need to clean up this arch a bit, sure it's a smooth curve. Ah, there we go. Okay, top 14%. So that's a big improvement. I'm happy with that. And that's the end of the episode. Thanks guys for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.